Good morning, Bucknutters. Welcome to the Bucknuts Morning 5 here on Wednesday, March 19th, 2025. I am Dave Biddle flying solo on today's show. Or another early edition of the show. Right after I do the show, I'm headed over to the WAC for an open practice for the Buckeyes. Still less than 2 months removed from winning the national championship. You guys still basking? Good. We're going to get into a lot of things. How the guys looked first day of practice, some of the questions we have this spring, a little bit of everything. I'm going to answer some questions from Bucknut subscribers from the front row message board. Before we get into Ohio State football, I'll let you guys know about our newest sponsor of the show. We love this company, Brunt. Brunt's best-selling Marin work boots are not only built for the toughest job sites, they're completely waterproof. Whether it's rain, mud, or standing water, your feet will stay dry. From oily workshop floors to muddy farm fields and everywhere in between, the Marin 6-inch soft-toe boot is built for workers across a variety of trades. Brunt isn't just about work boots. They offer a full range of high-performance gear built for tough jobs, like writing about sports. I'm kidding. And podcasting. You really need some good boots for podcasting. From heavy-duty work pants to weather-resistant jackets, Brunt designs durable, reliable workwear to keep you protected and productive in any condition. Brunt does not just make a durable work boot. They reinvented comfort for the hardest workers out there. For a limited time, our listeners get $10 off at Brunt by using code Bucknuts at checkout. Just head to brunt.com/Bucknuts, use code Bucknuts, and you're all set. Even better, Brunt lets you try all of their products on the job risk-free. After you purchase, they will ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them that we sent you. All right, guys. It's funny. I mean, Ohio State's losing all of these starters. They're going to have at least 15 guys drafted, in my opinion. And hopefully Josh Fryer and G. Scott both get drafted to make it 17. They're going to have between 15 and 17 guys drafted, and they are the betting favorite to win the national championship this coming year. And you can see it when you're out there. I mean, despite losing all those guys, this is an extremely talented team. Depth is an issue at certain spots, though, where last year's team just came at you in waves. Just look at the defensive line. This year's entire starting defensive line, they were the top backups last year. So who are going to be those top backup defensive linemen? We're going to get into all of that. We're going to start off with a question from Robert on Facebook. It says, Dave, what do you think of the coaching staff additions? It seems like we have some really good help for the defensive and offensive line. Yes, I love what Ryan Day's doing. He's even saying it. He's taking a page out of Nick Saban's book. That's a good book to read. It's a good book to steal from. Right down to it used to be continuity was so important, right, with coaching staffs, and you do want some continuity for sure. But like, what did Nick Saban do? He was going through coordinators, just like glasses of water. He was just rotating coordinators, defensive and offensive, boom, 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 boom. And it was like high-profile guys like Bill O'Brien, Sark, Lane Kiffin. What is Ryan Day doing now? He's doing the exact same thing. Chip Kelly, Matt Patricia. And what else is he doing? He's not just doing that. It's not just like the reclamation projects and high-profile guys coming here as coordinators. What else is he doing? He's going full bore with the analysts. I mean, they hired 3 analysts alone just for offensive line. And I really like Tyler Bowen. So I don't think that was any type of slap in the face to him. They really like him. He's an impressive guy, by the way. It's easy to see why he's such a good recruiter. Yeah, I think he's done a great job. I think Matt Patricia was a home run hire, and I don't think enough people are talking about that. I think there's still some trepidation about that for some reason. Again, I talk about this a lot. You focus on what a guy did as an NFL head coach. Urban Meyer, ask him how he did. Ask Nick Saban how he did. Ask Steve Spurrier how he did. I mean, the list is long. So it's hard to be an NFL head coach, and I wouldn't – Matt Patricia's not here as head coach, by the way. He's here as a defensive coordinator. It's kind of like with Chip Kelly. Chip Kelly, people were questioning that a little bit. I don't think you guys – I think most Buckeye fans were happy with it. But be over the moon about it, in my opinion. Be over the moon about it. Yeah, and as Christopher is saying here on YouTube, he says, I love how he's hiring former Buckeye players. Nate Ebner being the latest. How about that? Special teams analyst. Can you imagine a better special teams analyst? Not even even if it was a special teams coach, which they don't really have one. And they already have a pretty good special teams analyst in Coach Keys, who was the head coach at D2 Findlay and has now been here for a couple of years as basically like the special teams coach and at least last year, because Parker Fleming wasn't here any longer. They didn't have a special teams coach by name, but it was basically Coach Keys. And now you've got Nate Ebner as well. It's so damn cool. So damn cool. Yeah, and guys with Super Bowl rings, Nate Ebner, Matt Patricia, just no big deal, Super Bowl rings. Darren, he says, Dave, outside of Devin Sanchez, who is your biggest wow moment when you laid eyes on him this week? Yeah, I mean, I'll go with Onionwa because he's even bigger than I expected. I knew he was going to be big because at one point I see him over there and he's standing next to Tegra. I'm not going to say he made Tegra look small. That's impossible. But it was notable because Tegra makes everybody look small. And there's a guy next to him that was bigger than him. Not taller. They're both 6'6". Maybe Onionwa was a hair taller. But they're both listed at 6'6", and they're both 6'6". But Onionwa's got 30 pounds on Tegra. 357. Then I asked Coach Day, is that what you like? Do you like him at 357? And before I could even get the question, he said, no. That's a little too heavy. We want to get him down. He was listed at 345 at Rice. So, I mean, there's so many things. I mean, the guys look like they're in great physical shape. Even a guy that I wasn't even expecting. It wasn't even on my mind going out there. True freshman wide receiver Phillip Bell. Again, we're out there for an hour. They're not playing real football. They're just out there when they're doing wide receiver drills, just catching against air. I was like, who is this? It had to be a veteran wide receiver who changed numbers to number 7. No, that was true freshman Phillip Bell. Why was I impressed? Physically, he looks like a senior, not a guy that should still be in high school. And he catches the ball away from his body. And he's a guy nobody's talking about. And he's not going to play as a true freshman. But I think he's a guy maybe he was one guy that jumped out at me. There's a lot of guys. I mean, James Peoples looks really good. Jelani Thurman always jumps out at me. I could just go on and on and on and on. Brandon, what time is practice? 8:30. So I'm going to be cutting it really close. Although when they say 8:30, now watch it start. Watch them bring us in early today. I'm going to miss the first part, but we'll have Pat and Steve there. They can fill me in on any of the stretching that I might miss if I'm not there right away. But usually if they tell us 8:30, it's more like 8:45. For my many years on the beat, I have learned this, but you never know. So 8:30 is the listed time, unless Jerry has updated that, which I don't believe he has. No, not yet. So this is not going to be the longest of podcasts. It's not going to be a short one, though. All right. So, yeah, practice 8:30. All right, let's get to some questions from Bucknutters. Give me just a moment. This is from the front row message board. Just a few of these. Dadman533. Dadman533 on the front row message board, the world famous Bucknuts front row message board. It says, Dave, who do you speculate will be the number 4 linebacker in the rotation? It's a good question because for those of you guys that missed it, James Laurinaitis flat out said his top 3 are Sonny Styles, Arvell Reese, and Peyton Pierce. And that's not set in stone, but right now that's how it's looking. I love James is just, I love everything about James Laurinaitis. All right. Currently, the thing I love most is when you talk to him, he just shoots you straight about everything. It's awesome. I mean, for as much as you can for a football coach, right? So those are the top 3 guys. So if you're wondering who's the third, Peyton Pierce is that redshirt freshman. He's kind of that guy on the rise because we knew Sonny Styles and we knew Arvell Reese were going to be the starters this year. Arvell with big shoes to fill with Cody Simon leaving, who had a great year, and I think Arvell is going to have a really good year. Who's going to be at number 4 guy? Man, I almost pause saying this because it's when there's hype about a true freshman, but we're not talking about starting. We're talking about the backup. I think Riley Pettijohn's going to be number 4. I think Riley Pettijohn is going to be almost like Devin Sanchez might play more than Riley because Devin's definitely going to play at corner. But there's other guys that, aren't technically starters that are going to play a lot of corner, like Aaron Scott, Bryce West. I love this secondary is so good. But Devin Sanchez is going to play a lot as a true freshman. There's no doubt about it. He looked great the other day. He looks another guy that does not look like he should still be in high school, as you guys know. So I'll go with Riley Pettijohn. Garrett Stover is going to be in the mix, but it's not like he's entering his 3rd year. He's just entering his 2nd year. Pettijohn looks like I'll go with Pettijohn. All right, next one. X-Man 47. X-Man 47. He said, thanks for all you do at Bucknuts, Dave. I saw the visit Chris Henry Jr. made to Oregon this weekend. He looks chummy with Dan Lanning. Most people here think he will come here as long as Heartline is here. Your thoughts? I agree with that. Yeah, you wouldn't call it a lock by any means when he's visiting Oregon, because they could, Ohio State doesn't mess around with NIL for guys they want. They don't mess around. Like, they take care of their guys. But let's say whatever taking care of Chris Henry Jr. means, what if Oregon doubles it? I mean, it's just to say this out loud is just insane. Still, it's funny to me that the sea changes, massive changes we've seen in college football just in the last 5 years. It's crazy to me that we're talking about stuff like this. Yeah, they could give him $1 million, and Oregon could give him $2 million. It's like, this is insane, but it's reality. I do think Chris Henry's going to be a Buckeye, especially with Brian Hartline being here. And I like the timeline too, because Carnell Tate probably, if things go well, this will be his last year. And then Chris Henry Jr., theoretically, as a true freshman, could have 1 year with Jeremiah Smith and then take over as kind of the main guy. For a minute, I was worried about West Virginia. Why? Because his late father, went to West Virginia, and who raised him after that? Pac-Man Jones, who went where? West Virginia. So I was like, oh, geez, are they going to try and get him to West Virginia? I don't think they will. I don't think West Virginia. But who knows, though? It's going to be one of those three, probably. I think Chris Henry Jr. is going to be a Buckeye. I mean, if you're a top wide receiver, it's kind of the case has been proven, The offense rests. We won't say the defense rests. The prosecution rests. The offensive coordinator rests. It's like, it's undeniable Ohio State is the best place in the country for wide receivers, and it's not even debatable. We're going to have another first-round wide receiver this year. It's like every year, first-round wide receiver. And have any of them bust? No. Emeka, to me, is the safest pick in the draft this year, other than maybe Travis Hunter. And I shouldn't even say this as a Bengal fan. The Browns should not overthink this at 2. They should take Travis Hunter. He's the best player in this draft. You could have a possible Hall of Famer at wide receiver or corner. And I do think he's good enough to play both. He can't play both like all the time like he did like at Colorado. But the Browns should just take Travis Hunter and then get their quarterback in 2026. Unless Kenny Pickett turns into Joe Montana for you. That's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. What's going to happen is I'm going to tell you guys about Mando, America's #1 whole body deodorant for men, and I highly recommend it. I just lathered some on going out to practice, It's going to be out there covering practice is really grueling. So you got to have some of that Mando on covering a football practice. You feel like you're basically out there playing football when you're watching them play football. No, I'm being completely facetious, but I'm not being facetious about Mando. If you've been using the same deodorant for many years like I was, it's time to try something different and better. That's where Mando comes in. Do you want to try America's #1 whole body deodorant right now? You can now find the products at Walmart, Target, and other retailers across the country. It's true. I was in, I believe it was out of Meijer, and they were almost out. I was on the deodorant aisle, and they were almost out of the Mando. I'm like, Mando's doing pretty well. That literally flying off the shelves. Mando's not literally, figuratively flying off the shelves. That's the grammar nerd in me. Mando's starter pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice, and free shipping. As a special offer for our listeners, new customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code. That equates to over 40% off your starter pack. Use code BUCKNUTS at shopmando.com. SHOPMANDO.com. Please support our show and tell them that we sent you. Smell fresher, stay drier, and boost your confidence from head to toe with Mando. Steve and Pat better put their Mando on. If I'm out there next to them and there's any BO, I'm going to go stand next to somebody else. And if they come over again, I'm going to be like, no, you guys didn't wear your Mando. Go stand over there. My own show kicked me off there for a second. No, I must have hit something on my laptop. My bad. All right, a couple more here from the front row message board. If you guys are not Bucknut subscribers, it's like, and we have deals all the time too, but it's like $9.99 a month. It's less than $10 a month. We have the most vibrant message board of any Ohio State site, and sometimes that's a good thing. It's one thing when we've got so many people posting. Sometimes we've got to police the board a little bit here and there. I had to get a little hot under the collar about a month or so ago because we had too many people breaking our rules. And you know me, I'm a very nice guy. I don't get hot under the collar very often unless I'm watching like my sports teams. Then I'm all 100% hot under the collar. But had to lay the law down a little bit, get our front row message board back on track, and it's fantastic. Seriously, you guys should check it out. All right, here's one from Bucksgrad on Bucknuts. He says, surprising myself that I'm asking a basketball question, but are you feeling any push to get Ohio State basketball back where it belongs? He has a few other thoughts. Not really. I don't subscribe to Ross Bjork doesn't care about basketball. I don't feel that way at all. I think if anything, he cares more than Gene Smith did, or at least as much. And I do think they're going to step up their NIL efforts. And they weren't lacking in that regard. The basketball players are getting paid. Some of them too much. They've got to do a better job of allocating their resources. Like they've got to do what the football team does. Easier said than done. Ohio State football has a different brand than Ohio State basketball. But they've made it clear football is king. We all knew football was king, but at Ross Bjork's introductory press conference last year, it was pretty striking because I've never heard this at Ohio State before, where President Ted Carter and Ross Bjork himself just went out of their way to be like, football is king here. We want to win in other sports, but football is king. They said it over and over again. And I was like, damn, because I have never heard that at Ohio State. It was almost like the unspoken, like, we all know football's king. We don't need to talk about it. We don't need to. I think that kind of the feeling was, let's not denigrate the other sports. We all know football's king. They were like, football's king, and they said it like 10 times. So I don't know. Basketball's definitely on the back burner, but they're not ignoring it. It's not like it's like Ohio State baseball where they really don't give a crap. Although it's very, very, very hard to win if you're a northern team. I know Michigan got to the College World Series final a few years ago, so Ohio State baseball should be better. But first-year coach. But I think they care about basketball, but it's so much on the back burner compared to football. All right. Deegs. Now I always pronounce his name wrong. Deegs. Deegish. Deegsh. Sorry, I'm mispronouncing your name. Deegish. Are there changes to the game day presentation at the stadium for the 2025 season that I have heard of? Also, Dave, do you think the Armstrong twins can secure a spot in the 2 deep this spring? Let's take the latter question first. Well, yeah, Deontay, do I have this right? Devontae, the guard, they look, I mean, obviously they're identical twins. They look, you know, it's so hard to tell them apart, and they know it. It's so funny. They're good kids. Devontae's the guard. He's 1 inch shorter. He's 6'5", and Deontay's 6'6". He was running with the second team at left guard. Gabe Van Sickle was at right guard. So, you know, these guys that are entering their second year, these offensive linemen, are actually, it's turning out pretty well. It wasn't a very ballyhooed class, but Ian Moore's running with the ones at right tackle, although Phillip Daniels is going to give him a run for his money. The Armstrong twins are getting second team reps. You know, and they like Gabe Van Sickle too. He's running with the twos at right guard. Deontay right now is rotating in with the ones, or not with the ones, with the twos. But right now what they're doing, because they have Austin Saraveld with the ones at left tackle. So they have Phillip Daniels, or excuse me, they have Ethan Onionwa, the man-child, actually running with the twos at left tackle right now. So right now, Deontay is running mostly with the third team and rotating in with the twos, but I think he'll probably be the second team left tackle because I don't think Austin's actually going to play left tackle. I think Ethan Onionwa was going to be the starting left tackle. So, yeah, I think both Armstrong twins will be on the 2 deep. And then they'll be in position to challenge for a starting job their third year in the program next year. Are there changes to the game day presentation at the stadium for 2025 that I've heard of? Nothing specifically, but they did such a great job at the Tennessee game with the drone lights and everything. For those who don't know what I'm talking about, it's basically like I don't know, like a fireworks show, like on steroids. It was so freaking cool. And just some of the stuff they did, I think that they want to take a lot of that into this year. So I haven't heard anything specific, but I have heard that they were very happy with the show they put on against Tennessee on the field and with some of the features. But yeah, I haven't heard anything specific, but I think you guys are going to be happy. Then one more, Tampa OSU. What changes will Matt Patricia make with the defense this year? I wish I could tell you specifically. I still want to see it. I know one thing. He's not going to just come out there and do, 1 or 2 things. He's going to be multiple. He's going to mix things up, maybe even week to week. And he's going to find out this spring what his players do best. And then he's going to work all summer on constructing, adding to what he calls the Bible. The Bible. My gosh, I better pick the pace up a little bit here. Let you guys know about Factor meals, because practice starts in 25 minutes. Or is it 40 minutes, because it's actually got to give that 15-minute sliding scale. Come on, Jerry. Make it 8:45 today for me, buddy. All right. You guys know I love Factor. I'm spreading the word about Factor. I told you about my friend who was eating these microwave meals at work, every day, popping one of these frozen microwave meals. Not good. Not good. Factor is good. Factor's good. Fresh, never frozen, high quality, ready in 2 minutes, because it's fresh, never frozen. You get it out of your refrigerator, not your freezer. No prep, no cleanup, and it tastes great. We can get you guys a great deal. Eat smart with Factor. Get started at factormeals.com/factorpodcast and use code factorpodcast to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. It's code factorpodcast at factormeals.com/factorpodcast to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. My dog Scooby, you can hear, he loves Factor meals. He's up there barking right now trying to get some Factor meals. Good luck. You probably saw one of their trucks go by. You see their truck. I'm sure you guys have seen it. I mean, they truck/van, their delivery vans with Factor all over it, ready in 2 minutes. I love seeing them do well. I love seeing the Buckeyes do well. We are talking about practice. All right. I know Ryan Day said that there is a chance that he could name a quarterback this spring. He won't. And I would do the exact same thing. Like, why? Why? He knows who his quarterback is right now. I think it's Julian Sand. He knows. But why tell it to the world? Just let it play out. And that's what he's doing. He does this every time. He did it with Justin Fields and Gunnar Hoke. He made that announcement 2 weeks before the opener, which was funny. This is just how he does it. I have absolutely no problem with it at all. So don't expect him to name a quarterback until fall camp. And when I say I think Julian Sand's going to be the starter, please don't take that as a slight against Lincoln Kienholz. He looks good. And I'm thrilled he's here. Imagine they'd be scrambling for depth. You wouldn't want Tavian St. Clair to be your top backup as a true freshman. And maybe he could come in there and get the job done as a true freshman. It's huge that he's already here. And it's huge these guys were able – I've been saying this a lot. It's huge these early enrollee freshmen, and there's a ton of them, were able to experience – most of them went to the Rose Bowl. All of them went to the Cotton Bowl/CFP semifinal, and all of them went to the national championship game. Got to experience – being at practice, being part of the team during a national championship run. I mean, that is just invaluable experience for these guys. So that just helps them mentally. And I'm a huge believer in the mental side of sports. So this freshman class, they're going to need guys. I don't see any of them starting as freshmen, but they're going to need guys to contribute from this freshman class. So we'll see what happens. I got off on a little bit of a tangent there, but I think Julian Sand's going to be the guy, but Lincoln Kienholz looks good to me. And I think if something happened, let's say Sand does, I'm right in saying does win the job. He's the guy. He gets banged up, and they have but he's not seriously hurt. But Lincoln has to go in there for a game or two midseason. I think he could get the job done for sure. This is not the same kid that we saw out there as a true freshman thrown into the fire in that Cotton Bowl when he, they didn't even get him ready for the game really. He was the third string quarterback that year, and all of a sudden he's like playing because Devin got hurt. So, and now he's had 3. This is his third year focusing just on football. So I like Lincoln Kienholz a lot. And Tavian looks good too. I do think they're going to add another quarterback for depth purposes, Gunnar Hoke type, Gebbia, Chugs, those guys. But it's fun watching the quarterbacks. I'm going to be watching them here in about 21 minutes. Yeah, we talked about this earlier, man. Well, no, this is not exactly what we did. This is Christopher on YouTube. Day is making his own coaching tree like Saban did. Yeah, I mean, again, I think that's a pretty good guy to follow. If I want to follow in the footsteps of a coach, following the greatest of all time is not a bad idea. I kind of like that. All right, guys, I wish I could do this longer. I got to get going, though. I'll probably be a couple minutes late anyway, unless they start at 8:45, which I hope they do. If they start at 8:30, I'm going to be a couple minutes late. All right, appreciate you guys getting up with me early this morning. Thank you for all your questions, and just thank you for making the Bucknuts Morning 5 part of your routine Monday through Friday. Dan Rubin and the boys will be with you tomorrow morning. Keep it locked to Bucknuts for full coverage. We're going to have a practice report. We meet with the quarterbacks and the running backs today, including new quarterbacks Coach Billy Fessler, running backs Coach Carlos Laughlin. We're getting all three quarterbacks that we just talked about. We're getting the running backs, including the freshmen. So we're getting Bo Jackson. We're getting Isaiah West. That's cool. Turbo's not here yet. He gets here in June. We're getting James Peoples, CJ Donaldson. Like I said, we're getting the quarterbacks. We're getting Julian Sand. We're getting Lincoln Keenholtz. We're getting Tavian St. Clair. So keep it locked to Bucknuts for all that good stuff. All right, and the first thing we get up will be the practice report. I like where Christopher's mind at. They'll hold the practice till Dave gets there. Yeah, right. When they know that I'm running late, they'll get started early probably. Yeah. All right, thanks, guys. I really appreciate it. Hope everyone has a great rest of your day. Go Bucks.